Boston's preliminary election for mayor and city council will take place on Tuesday, September 26th. There will be 3 open seats on the council, one of them being vacated by Tito Jackson, who currently represents District 7. That district includes most of Roxbury and parts of Dorchester, the South End, and the Fenway. Among those hoping to be the new councilor in District 7 is our guest tonight, Stephen Wise. Thank you very much for being with us, Stephen.
Thank you, Chris, for allowing me this opportunity to be here.
Stephen, talk about your background, what you've been doing before this campaign.
Okay, basically, years ago I attended the University of UMass, College of Public Community Services. I majored in legal services. I had the fortune to be a classmate of Joe Kennedy III. We did our legal internship at the Boston Legal Services. I attended Harvard University Extension Program and the John F. Kennedy School of Government study groups. I've worked for the city of Boston for a number of years, 41 to be exact.
What did you do for the city?
Well, I started off with the city of Boston as a recreation director at the Vine Street Gym, which is in the heart of the district.
On Dudley Street.
On Dudley Street, yes. And from there, I went on to work in 1974 in South Boston High School with the Youth Activities Commission. There I was a youth advocate and social worker inside of South Boston High School.
And that was pretty much the threshold of busing.
Yes, I was on the front line, if I say, the war zone, because there was a lot of resistance from South Boston. We were working jointly with the principal of the high school, along with the South Boston District Court, because when there was an altercation, kids were, would be eventually arrested and sent to the court system. Of course, their cases would be expunged if they were found innocent and stuff like that. So the advocacy went from one part of South Boston to the other part of South Boston.
Well, here we are more than 40 years later, and school system's still a challenge, and there's a lot of concern in this district, I think, about young people, especially young people who might be either threatened with violence around them or maybe even thinking of taking part in it. How do you see yourself dealing with that?
I think that we need more summer jobs for these kids. Just idle minds, just sitting around on corners. We've been pushing the mayor and some others, and some of the mayor hopefuls, to create more summer jobs for these kids. Get them off the street corners. Give them something productive to do. Also, there's the Upward Bound program. There's after-school programs. There's the community centers that we need to, there's the boys clubs. Also, Chris, I like to talk about some issues that a lot of people ignore, or some people ignore. For example, a person gets a ticket. Some people just throw the ticket. But once it becomes in the system, you have 21 days to either pay it or appeal it. And my philosophy is appeal it. You have to beat the system at their own game. You get a tax bill. You get a tax bill. On the back of the tax bill, it says, this one is just a preliminary. On the back, it talks about the abatements. You have, when you receive your actual tax bill, you can abate that.
So what would you do, if you're a city councilor, what would you do to make sure more people really, take notice of that and take advantage of it?
I would have my staff out there at community meetings, and we'd send out a newsletter, and we'd have a little local office in the district, informing, outreach to the constituents. We'd let them know, hey, if you get a tax bill, you're a senior citizen, 65 or older, you're allowed abatements. If you're living in your household, you can get an abatement. We have to make sure that the residents of District 7 start to utilize the system to their advantage. Now, you won't hear any other candidate talk about making sure that the residents get a fair shake. I say, whatever the situation calls for, you have to appeal it.
This is BNN News, and we're talking with Steve Wise, who's a candidate for City Council in District 7. Stephen, another idea you have about the school system is having an elected school committee. I know there are a number of students and parents out there, they want better things from the schools. They're concerned about budget cuts sometimes, but how would an elected committee help instead of the appointed committee that we have now?
The appointed committee is basically responsible for only, I mean, there's a lot of committed people there. I won't say that they're all not committed to the community. But if you're elected, you're responsible to the voters of that particular district or to citywide. And you'll be more accountable to help the kids. We can have a world-class education system here in Boston, but we need to have more accountability. And of course, where the system is under the mayor, I think it should be elected.
One other idea you have for closing the widening income gap in the city and many other places, I guess, is what to do about, I guess, minimum wage.
Right.
Or at least a living wage.
Yes, I'm talking about a living wage, $23 an hour, Chris. It's not unreasonable. With skyrocketing rents, skyrocketing housing costs, I think it would be.
Now is this 23 an hour for every employer, or are we just talking about, big chains or what?
I'm talking about every employer.
How are you going to make that happen? I mean, right now, it's hard enough to get
Well,
people up to 15 in this state.
I need a coalition.
Right.
I need a coalition to help with those figures. And I also want to take this opportunity, Chris, to thank the voters of District 7 for nominating me. Over 1,000 people nominated me, and I want to thank them personally. I want to also thank Alex, one of our coordinators, and the many volunteers that have helped us out in the campaign and continue to help us out in the campaign.
Finally, Steve, we should mention if people want to find out anything more about your campaign, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yes, we're located at 38 Rand Street, R-A-N-D Street in Dorchester, 02125. We're looking for volunteers, we're looking for financial help, anything that you can do, feel free to write me or
get in touch.
Get in touch.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, Chris.
Stephen Wise, candidate for City Council in Roxbury's District 7. Up ahead, we'll hear what's planned for celebrating Bastille Day in the Back Bay.